But again, we like to make our pledges in the midst of stories. And so we're going to ask the Baker family to come to the lectern now. Cliff and Rosemary and their daughters, Emma and Sarah, one of whom is not with us today, and they'll explain why. But will you please warmly welcome the Baker family?
Good morning. It is such an honor to be here talking to you about stewardship. As Ed said, this is Sarah. Our older daughter, Emma, is on the youth retreat, no doubt gleefully torturing Jeremy and Isaac with an endless series of puns, riddles, and improvised haiku poetry. Our family first came to All Saints on Christmas Eve of 2005. Although Rosemary and I have always been interested in growing spiritually, I had not been to church with any consistency for many years. I inwardly blamed the extremists and the televangelists who seemed to have hijacked Christianity, but the truth was that I had grown spiritually lazy, worshiping with the Sunday papers over brunch. We came to church that Christmas Eve because, despite my own inertia, I had a nagging feeling that it was time to introduce the children to the true meaning of Christmas before they ripped open all the packages the following morning. As you know, the family Christmas Eve service begins at 3 p.m. Having been forewarned by friends to arrive early, we got here in plenty of time to wedge into a pew against that wall. In winter in Southern California, the sun goes down early, well before evening. Candlelight filled the church. As the sun went down, there was a shaft of light shining through the stained glass in the center aisle. At 3 p.m. on that Christmas Eve, the late afternoon sun shone directly on the procession as it came down the aisle. That candle and sunlit procession was so beautiful. I felt the Holy Spirit, and I felt the love of God's gift to humanity in the form of an infant so powerfully for the first time in many years. I realized that afternoon that I had come to church more for myself than for the kids. A few minutes later, Ed began to read the Christmas story from Luke, which begins with a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And then Ed stopped and made a joke about the IRS, which I didn't get, but the congregation thought was hilarious. I asked the person beside me what that was about, and she said, "Haven't you heard? The IRS is trying to take away our nonprofit status, and we are fighting back." And my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe that this one church in Pasadena was really taking on the most feared agency of the federal government. I thought that was so cool. And so, about 15 minutes into our first service, I knew I had found my spiritual home. There are many reasons that Rosemary, Emma, Sarah, and I make a significant pledge every year to All Saints. Among the most important, Rosemary and I would like to express our profound gratitude for the love, support, and spiritual guidance that we have received from the pastoral care ministry and the entire community here at All Saints.
We have received so much from the amazing energy in this community, which has embraced us during life's rough spots. When Cliff's dad passed away and his mom was seriously ill, the pastoral ministry called and sent a card which Cliff now keeps in his Book of Common Prayer. Many times, All Saints has included our friends and loved ones in the prayers of the people. When my mom passed away, Zelda was there to counsel me and to listen. The words of comfort and wisdom she shared provided a context in which to feel so much grief and keep moving forward. When Cliff was struggling with career options, Wilma met with him to provide discernment. Shortly after we came to All Saints, early in my renewed journey of faith, Susan met with me to discuss Jesus at 8:30 in the morning at Vroman's, and she was early. Our girls have received so much love and care from this community, from the children, youth, and family staff and volunteers, from Laura, from the babysitting team, and from the youth group volunteers on Wednesday night. When Emma needed to chat about something on her mind, Jeremy and Isaac took her to Starbucks and listened. When their grandparents passed away, Wilma was there to love these girls and help them with their grief. Last year, I was faced with my own serious illness, which left me with only 2 or 3 hours of energy a day for about 6 months. I was blessed to receive this prayer shawl, hand-knitted by last week's witness, the amazing Alma Stokes. Jenny Tesey and Abby McCarroll brought us about 24 Ziploc bags of soup and chili, which they had made in the All Saints kitchen, so Cliff would not have to cook during my illness. Cliff and I will forever be profoundly grateful for your prayers and support during trying times. And so, that is one of the reasons that we pledge. At All Saints, we understand that if we are to be one body, before we can turn the human race into the human family, we must first love one another in this parish. And so, we do.
And we left out lay guidance ministry, which has also been very helpful to me during Rosemary's illness. Rosemary and I have learned that the more we give, the more we grow spiritually. We believe that we must leave our comfort zone in order to grow spiritually. Rosemary and I put some thought each fall into our pledge amount, making sure that it is significant enough that writing the check or paying online each month has our meaning and attention and is not just another bill, and is also within our means. In other words, as is taught in the cooperative process training, our pledge takes us out of our comfort zone, but still in a safe place. Rosemary and I are honored to be able to pledge to All Saints, and if you haven't already, we hope that you will join us.